2025 marks an exciting milestone for Marvel, which has Marvel fans, myself included, very excited. The Fantastic Four are officially being introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sure, we have had Fantastic Four cameos in the past, but they were very short and, let's just say, they didn't end well. At the time of recording, I haven't seen the new film yet, but it looks amazing. I can hardly wait. So, to quench my Fantastic Four thirst while I wait for it to be released, I decided to watch the original Fantastic Four film. Fantastic Four, directed by Tim Story, was released in 2005 and was successful enough to warrant a sequel 2 years later. Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, played by Ian Grufford and Michael Chiklis respectively, convinced multi-millionaire entrepreneur Victor Von Doom, Julian McMahon, to fund their mission to space to research a cloud of cosmic radiation. But the cloud doesn't act as predicted, meaning the three of them, along with Sue and Johnny Storm, Jessica Alba and Chris Evans, are exposed to radiation which fundamentally alters their DNA, giving them each unique powers. Reed seeks to understand these powers, meanwhile Von Doom uses his powers to take revenge on those who have wronged him. Eventually, by working together, the Fantastic Four are able to immobilize Victor. I think the premise for this film is actually pretty unique and refreshing. Once they get their powers, they have one scene showcasing them using their powers to save people, but then they spend the rest of the film quarantined as Reed tries to figure out how to get rid of these powers. Most of the conflict is between the members of the team, usually created by Johnny's desire to keep his powers because he enjoys the attention he's getting. While the bickering team dynamic isn't totally unique, I do think that the idea of superheroes doing everything in their power to lose their powers is something that I haven't really seen before, and I really like it. Johnny is definitely meant to be the arrogant, slightly unlikable one in the group, and he is. What he says and does feels so infuriating most of the time, and that is of course the idea. But you can understand where he's coming from. You can see why he does what he does. Why should he be forced to lose this great power he has been given, just because the rest of the team want rid? But at the same time, you can see where everyone else is coming from as well. They don't know anything about these powers. They don't know if it's an illness, they don't know if it could kill them, and for all they know, it could be contagious. However, a lot of the writing in this film is rather clunky, especially towards the beginning. The first few scenes have a lot of exposition, which is mostly done through characters telling one another things that they already know. I understand that exposition is a hard thing to get right, but when it's done wrong, like this, I think it feels a little condescending, like the film is trying to hold our hand through the introduction, spoon-feeding us the information we need instead of giving it in a more casual way. And admittedly, exposition being heavy-handed doesn't automatically mean it's bad. I think the video diary scenes in Avatar don't feel too out of place, and the scrolls in Star Wars have become synonymous with the brand. But when the extent of the exposition is one character saying to another, "Hey, this is a thing we both already know," at the very least, it feels out of place. The film also tries to sneak elements of foreshadowing in the shape of Doctor Doom describing the characters in a way which mirror the powers that they get.
Same old Reed, always stretching, reaching for the stars with the weight of the world on his back. So I see you're still doing all the heavy lifting. Maybe you should have stayed in the lab.
These are fun moments, but again, they feel a little out of place, a little clunky. As a whole, I think The Fantastic Four is a very fun watch. It has a great story, but is often let down by clunky, heavy-handed writing. It's an interesting premise, entertaining characters, lots of references to the comics, a really light tone, just an all-around fun watch. But there's definitely better stuff you can watch. In fact, there's even better Fantastic Four films you can watch. Kind of. I mean, The Incredibles are basically the Fantastic Four, right? But there are definite problems with the film too. Sue is sexualized throughout the whole film. On the space station, she doesn't zip her suit up all the way. On the bridge, she turns invisible and strips naked to sneak past the police, but she turns visible halfway through. But Reed and Johnny get past fine and they weren't invisible or naked. Moments like this show that the film was unapologetically catering to the male gaze, even if it meant undressing one of the film's stars. And while yes, I think it is important to note that times have changed and this was a more socially acceptable practice 20 years ago, I still think it's an important topic to bring to light. If these scenes impacted the plot, I may have thought otherwise, but it's just cleavage for the sake of cleavage, so I'm gonna have to dock a few points for that. What do you think of the film? How do you think it'll compare to Fantastic Four First Steps? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, why don't you like and subscribe? I mean, you made it this far, I can't be that bad, right? But now, if you'll excuse me, I'm thirsty for some more Fantastic Four.